we do not have any alternates tonight, so
But we have a quorum.
we have a quorum. This is our group. All right, so we're going to talk tonight about the draft ordinances. Did you have a specific public comment that you wanted to bring forward?
Yeah,
Do you want to do that now or after
could you
we?
come to the microphone, please?
Totally up to you.
If you just state your name and the street that you live on, sir.
My name's Nate Swayze. I live on Old Gordon Road.
Thank you very much for being here, Nate.
Thank you, Doug. So I've been thinking about this for a while. I've been listening in on your meetings. I think you're all doing a very good job with everything that you're forced to do and keep up on. I think the housing situation is an opportunity for Brentwood to do something that would fit the Brentwood's mantra or rural character. I've been hearing a lot about the state mandating condos essentially on commercially zoned. I have really hesitant to want that on 125. It's a 55-mile-per-hour zone. I travel it every day for work. I work in Brentwood, so I see people who are rushing south to get to 495, etc. There's no real good turning lanes to take a left or to hug your tires all the way on the side to take a right-hand turn. And a lot of people don't, especially at the rec center. They will slow down while everyone's beaming at them 55 miles behind them. And it's like, dude, move all the way over, please. Yeah. Anyway, so just the thought of having more potential left-hand turns is a scary thought for me. I used to be able to ride my bike as a 10, 11-year-old and cross 125 at leisure, and that was what kids did, and it was perfectly safe, but it has changed. Yeah. Every town surrounding us has quadrupled in size, so there's more traffic. So I'm also speaking as someone who, I'm almost 40 years old, and my demographic, I work construction more or less, electrician. So I work with a lot of people my age, and a lot of them don't have kids, but have significant others who also have relatively good paying jobs. And I travel throughout the whole state of New Hampshire, from basically Randolph to Keene, Newcastle, and everywhere in between. I see every town's demographics and the houses being built, and what I feel is New Hampshire's housing crisis is a diversity in size of homes. From past 25 years, there's kind of a monoculture house being built, 4-bedroom, colonial. You go to Wyndham, Bedford, Amherst, I know in wealthy towns I'm listening, but Candy is doing the same, et cetera, et cetera. They're not building the split level homes, the ranches, the capes, with maybe a detached garage. That's what I believe is the housing crisis in New Hampshire is the stock is they don't have those blue collar, middle, first home, 1 kid, 2 working adults, no kid inventory. Yeah. That's the inventory I believe New Hampshire doesn't have. I also I've traveled through all the towns, and you can see the different eras of developments built, and they used to kind of change the houses up kind of as they built into the neighborhoods, which is a little bit more charming in my opinion when you have just different house styles. I'm not saying the homes in the past 20 years aren't nice, aren't charming. That's not what I'm getting at, but it's the neighborhood that I'm in. I grew up in there, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to do something on my own. But that neighborhood, as you go in, there's maybe like 3 houses that are the same out of 60 plus. You incorporate Gove, Sherman, Flanders, Northrop, etc. People walk their dogs, ride horses. Kids are riding dirt bikes, which I encourage. Mopeds, they go down the class 5 road. And as that neighborhood was created, the lots got bigger as the neighborhood went in, and the houses, as it starts, were built to kind of the size of that lot, which allowed for the ranches, the split levels, in the capes, and I think this is a great opportunity for us to do an opportunity to perhaps zone differently to allow those types of houses to be built, and they're not going to be built on a 2-acre, 200 front.
Correct me
lot.
if I'm wrong. When we had our conversation, you had mentioned that you thought half-acre lots would be suitable for small, single-family homes, for starter homes.
Yes,
And-
and when we spoke at neighborhood party, which was nice, I just threw ideas out that
And if
If-
you'd
if-
share a few of those ideas.
if we were to do those zoning changes, that you could still maintain the 2-acre, 200 front, and then whatever is built within the realms of existing regulations, that's fine. But if you were to shrink the lots, you could perhaps put the house has to be between 1,100, 1,500 square foot, and then as it stepped up, if you could perhaps step it up, because the builders, if you don't put those regulations in, they're just going to say, "Oh, sweet, I can build this most expensive house still just on the same lot." So I know that's a huge ask, but I'm just an idea guy, and I just think that we throw apartments and condos on 125, that still doesn't solve that between a 4-bedroom house and an apartment. That inventory in the whole state is gone, or it's just not being pursued, say, and perhaps we could digest an opportunity for that, that kind of stock, and it put boundaries on it so it doesn't turn into downtown Exeter. That's not what I'm trying to achieve, but just if we could mull the
Yeah.
idea or consider it.
Yeah.
For-
Neighborhoods like Gove were done by lot size, by soil type.
Yeah.
That's why the lots are smaller in nature. I think what you're talking about is a wonderful idea, and we'd have to really talk about it at length. But we'd have to come up with a completely new zone to do that in. Perhaps.
Well, it can be part of workforce housing, although I want to talk about, I think part of workforce housing says that the workforce houses in a development have to be similar, which doesn't make a lot of sense with what you're talking about. It'd be nice. I think we talked about this quite a while ago. If you remember, you were like drawing
Yeah.
something, and we were talking about, is there a way that we can say, we can encourage 1,000-square-foot houses or something, so that they're those starter homes. And I don't think we've really gotten to a way yet to incentivize that. Okay, they can be different size. Okay.
I think to his point, with the workforce housing ordinance that's being talked about.
No, you're fine. It's an important conversation. That
Yeah,
think that
no, I want to make sure it's captured. Some of the comments that you just made about the smaller units, smaller lots, the workforce housing ordinance allows the additional density so that a developer who could build one of those large conventional colonials you mentioned could actually build a smaller number of smaller units, and get a little bit closer to that density of, the equivalent of 1 unit per half acre or acre. So I think what's nice about what this planning board's done is looked at a couple of different solutions, and then you still need someone who will show up and build the units. The commercial piece is kind of being handed to them, as you know, to do multifamily within the commercial zone. One option is to change the zoning of 125 and not make it a commercial zone anymore.
So one question I would have, Steve, about like the starter homes is, in other communities that you've worked with, have they identified like creative ways to incentivize that kind of development?
We haven't seen a lot of it. There's a lot of conversation about this going on in Massachusetts right now. And then Amherst, a number of years ago, part of their workforce housing ordinance, you could build, there were 1,100 square foot units that were deed restricted. They couldn't be expanded. But the whole neighborhood, in that case, it wasn't mixed income. The whole neighborhood was workforce housing. And so I haven't seen many. I don't know, Glenn, if you have.
It's a precarious road that we're traveling here, because the property rights for a developer exist, and it's difficult to tell them that they are limited to only building 1,000 square foot house. Now, when Gove was not soil type lot size. That first ever subdivision
It predates
in
that.
Brentwood predates the 2 acre, 200 square.
Well, they had to have the proper amount of soils, obviously.
They did, and they understood that, but it was before both soil type lot sizing and the 2 acre, 200 foot frontage, and
Okay.
that's why those lots are smaller.
I was always under the impression that had to be in place right from the inception.
Yeah, that's the first subdivision in Brentwood.
Wow,
Is that
okay.
area. But when we did go to soil type lot sizing, in the best soil conditions, you can get a lot of 32,500 square feet. So not quite a half acre, but close to a half acre. But when we did that, the developer still built very large houses. And we had to add into our regulations requirements of showing the size of structures to make sure that they understood they wouldn't be able to put a deck on their home because they were building to their building extremes. So the concept is great. I think that there are going to have to be some lawsuits in New Hampshire before it becomes something that is widely accepted, that you can mandate 1,000 square foot building from the planning board side of things. There are ways, like Steve was talking about, for incentivizing developers to do that on their own, but those developers have either passed on, they were doing it in the 50s and they're not doing it anymore, or we're needing a new breed of developer, because it simply isn't happening. You're absolutely right. You're not missing anything.
Yeah, you've definitely identified a gap in the market that is very, very real.
Yeah.
Which is why I asked the question about incentivizing that kind of development, because that's a very real issue.
I just thought I'm not a lawyer or anything, so like, if the rules now are 2 acres, 200 frontage, if you allowed them to build a different zoning, be like, hey, well, you can build 2 to 2.5, 3 homes on that same lot, we could put a regulation. Otherwise, that lot is, you have to, I don't know, you still have to have that minimum 2 and 2.
Right.
Towns could get, I've advocated for years that towns could purchase land and develop themselves. If you purchase land and you use the new innovative community septic systems that NHDES allows, and that technology has completely changed over the last 30 years. And we don't, as a state, use it to its fullest capacity. But if you can get lots like you see in Dover or any city that has municipal water and sewer, lots that are 10,000 square feet in size, then you are definitely going to have small homes because you can't put anything else other than small homes on them. And we've always, in Brentwood, fallen back on the fact that we don't have water and sewer, so it limits what we can do. But there are things we could do as a town if we were progressive enough and if the voters were supportive enough. You could simply buy land and use innovative septic systems and have lots that are so small you can only develop small properties. But we're not there yet. We're not. It's not there.
One other
So-
thing to add into the mix, based on what you just said, Glenn, Brady Sullivan, we've seen 2 projects now, both with water and sewer, so Lebanon and Laconia. But what they've figured out is the gap in the market that you're talking about, the small units, but they're retaining them and they're renting them. And so, and that's not what people want either.
That isn't what
But
people
what people are finding is that they want to get out of the apartment building. They want the yard. They want storage for boats and stuff like that. And so they're filling these units and they're not letting them go, but they're building 1,000 square foot ranches, really nice little neighborhoods. So there's a developer who's willing to do it, who sees there's a profit to be made.
Sure.
They're not the highest quality construction probably, but it's interesting. Now they're starting to do this in a number of parts of the state. So,
And I'm convinced you can do it without water and sewer, but someone has to be willing to get out there and start doing it. And there are gonna be mistakes, and there's going to be unexpected expenses because it isn't a model that everyone has done 1,000 times. And that's why the big houses on big lots, they're just easy. The model is there. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to do it.
We took, in the new map that we've drafted, that you guys drafted, we took multifamily out of North Road. I know there's not a lot of properties left there, but I'm wondering if there's a creative zone we could make in place of that would allow smaller lots. And just like a kind of experimental. It's already multifamily right now, so that's acceptable to the community.
The soils aren't conducive for large-scale development in that area.
And in all honesty, I've just said I want to see innovation.
Mhm.
I don't want that to cloud what we have to accomplish.
Yeah.
And I think if we come at the town with something like that, they're going to say, oh, look, they are trying to do crazy things. And they'll slam everything
Sink the
we're
whole thing.
proposing.
Yeah, it's a valid point. I think we've been very conservative of what we want to do to eliminate the cluster conversation and really to focus on the legislation that we really need to get passed.
We have to pass some things to be in compliance with the law and to protect ourselves. So, we're up to date with the law. Back to 125, I haven't looked at it in a while. You might know a little bit more. But I think they updated the law now, so there's a little more flexibility to lower speed limits in areas down to 45. And I think that might be something the town should be talking more about, because it's ridiculous.
Maybe Glenn can expound
Glenn
on
wouldn't
the
like.
philosophy of why we're proposing the multifamily on 125. I mean, the specific rationale and reason for that.
It's the law.
From a planning perspective, but also from the survey that was done by Brentwood residents here about 1.5 years ago. And people they kind of like the rural 2-acre lots where they live. They feel that preserves the value. And it's the land mass. It's just the value of the land that's the driver here. The demand is for these $1.3 to $1.7 million homes right now. So how you go about legally, restricting that, I think that would be a heavy lift to try to mandate that someone builds smaller houses. You have to do that, incentivize it through density. but Brentwood has a pile of wetland. You live on probably one of the driest, if not the driest, section of road in town. Very sandy, great soil for septic. There's a lot of soils, and unfortunately, a lot of them are along 125 where we're proposing the multifamily. But the rationale is for, I will speak to that about traffic. And that's the road you want that.
Well, it's
Traffic.
also, the rationale is the the legislature passed a law saying that we have to allow multifamily in the minimum, I forget how many, minimum 8 unit building? I don't,
Six.
6?
6 plus.
Not ours, but I think you put a note in here that there was a minimum size.
Do we meet that as proposed, as presently proposed?
No, that's why we made all these changes at the last meeting, redrew your map. Simplified it, I think.
If I could just make one general comment, because I think that, well, first of all, let me back up for a sec. Thank you so much for coming here tonight. Like, and for folks who are watching who are interested, please come. You know, we want to hear from folks. So thank you so much, and I hope you continue to come to meetings to share your perspective, because your input was really thoughtful and well taken. And even if some of these things that you're talking about, we don't necessarily address in the short term because we do have, statutory requirements that we have to, that doesn't necessarily mean that, because the work doesn't end here. And, I think that's something that we can prioritize during this process, is talking to residents, especially as we get leading up to town meeting day and after, about, what folks envision for the long-term future of housing in Brentwood. Because I think that that's a discussion that, once we kind of get our legal ducks in a row, that's a discussion that needs to be ongoing. And I think that you've identified like some really, really important issues that, we're going to have to grapple with. So I just want to make that clear, that this coming town meeting day is not the end all be all. And so the last thing I would want you to think is that your comments aren't being heard and appreciated, because we really, really value your input.
I came in at the 11th hour with a comment, so my expectations were very, but
but we appreciate it so
minuscule,
much.
But
yeah.
I still wanted to speak up and say something,
And thank you so much for doing that.
because I just think that the state of New Hampshire has a diversity. They just don't have certain style homes, which allow for people's kids to move back with their families and their grandkids to be closer, or people to downsize and stay in town, but and still have a yard to barbecue and have people come over and not kind of be restricted with kind of a condo or HOA kind of, thing where you still have your freedom, not freedom, but your kind of your lot, you get to within, not be noisy or, reckless. But I think that's more of the Brentwood feel from my perspective as someone who grew up as a kid, moved away and moved back and work in town. So that's all.
I've given you a copy of the ordinances that we're working on. If you'd read them and come back and give your comments, I think that'd be fantastic.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, you will.
I also just wanted to chime in on something you mentioned early on. The issue on 125 of not feeling super safe pausing to take turns and people zipping by you. That corridor has been identified by New Hampshire DOT as one of the top, I think it's 25 most dangerous corridors in the state that requires additional study. Little unclear on when exactly they plan to study it, but it's on the list. If you think about what 125 looks like south and north of Brentwood and Plastow, Kingston, Epping, those sections have been studied and the recommendations have been implemented. They now have turn lanes and auxiliary lanes. It's safer and more appropriate. Brentwood eventually will get there. That's not, solving the problem right now, but I just wanted you to know that has been identified.
I've been following that as well.
And one thing you can do is, I don't know if you've been following what are called the GASSET hearings. It's the Government Advisory.
The Governor's
Governors
Advisory
are-
Council on Intermodal
Yes.
Transportation.
It's an opportunity for the public to comment on the state's plans for funding transportation projects over the next 10 years. And we had one in Brentwood already, but there are a few more.
Yeah,
on
Councilor Stevens is having one in Greenland next week.
Yeah, so just
lo-
wanted to throw that
she-
out there.
She loves Brentwood, so she loves hearing from us.
I just
Yeah.
feel like it's a hardship at the current state to force us to do it.
Yeah.
Just, I purposely take certain roads and drive back roads to my house so I don't have to do left-hand turns.
Yeah,
and go to a
it's
light.
scary.
I know a lot of people do, but if you're,
Yep.
the people who are coming to visit you, your friends and family who don't know those tricks, that's the things I worry about, you know,
And
or
the
someone
GPS
else's
doesn't,
friends are.
the GPS doesn't tell you how dangerous.
No,
it
no,
is.
it doesn't say go up another quarter mile,
Yeah.
go to the light, you know.
Right.
But here's an action item, Nate, write a little note, just a paragraph hand scribbled to Mark and address to the planning board and say you'd like to be an alternate. We have an alternate position or two
Yeah.
available right now.
Yeah.
And then I'd also recommend, if you haven't read, is the townwide survey still on our webpage?
I filled that out.
I think.
Yeah, but you want to read the results. The results will shock you. Now, it would be, it's good to, the only way you're going to change that is to start a discussion, which you're starting now. But you need to get some background and learn what people are concerned about, what they vision for Brentwood may not be, you know, what a lot of us feel that the solution is. At least you can see how people feel, and you'll learn from being on the planning board that the planning board can propose any ordinance they want to propose, but you have to sell that through vote of town meeting. And if you read the recent survey, you can see there's some uphill motion required there. But you're the young guy, you've got some ideas, get on the board and start helping us formulate these proposed changes.
I think what's important is if you can read those ordinances, because you read them and please give your feedback on them, because that would be super helpful to this board for someone who stepped in at the 11th hour to take a look at that and give their feedback to it, because that's what we want. We want the voters to actually get a hold of them and give their comments back to us. If we need to make adjustments, we can do that.
And it's really not the 11th hour. We have to, so we've
Yeah,
been having these open public meetings to develop these, but then we have public hearings on each one
Yeah.
before the vote. So there's still plenty of time for input.
Yeah, but as this process goes along, the more feedback we can get from residents, I think the better off we're going to be.
So you probably weren't expecting to join the planning board tonight, but we would love to have you as an alternate.
But you can be an alternate planning board member as early as the first Thursday of November, okay?
I'll stew on that.
I'll speak to your father about that.
That's how I got trapped.
Yeah.
If you are, and just reach out to my office, and I'll give you an application.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Thanks everyone for
Thanks so
your ear.
much.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thanks for coming.
Really appreciate it.
You too.
Maybe.
All right. You guys want to come up and?
These guys are back.
I love how on the planning board we're so excited about public comment. We're like, just join us, just join us.
First, I'd just like to say thank you to the planning board. You guys did a wonderful job, and I know he was very nervous from our discussion.
Oh, that was
the-
terrific. Yeah.
But he's got a lot of insight, and he was not the only one there. There were 3 other couples that voiced the same type of concern. So, thank you.
Yeah, that was fantastic, Doug. Thank you for.
Well, he was
yeah.
at the workshop.
Yeah.
I talked.
Yes.
I talked with
Yes,
him for 30
he
minutes.
had
or
mentioned
so.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
So yes, we are back. You have new versions from 2 weeks ago, and you have a new map and I'm happy. I think we just want to hear anything you want to talk about on any of these. And I know, Kristen, we had some bigger back and forth about workforce housing, like what do we do?
Yeah.
And so I've spent time talking to Mark. I'm happy to talk a little bit more about that tonight. He's also happy to have a conversation. He just wasn't available tonight.
Okay.
We want to make sure that whatever you decide to bring forward, you have a level of confidence that these are the best options for you and Brentwood.
Mhm.
so we can go through that. And I just want to leave here with a sense of like next steps. What's most helpful for you guys?
Sounds good. Yeah, so my email, the back and forth was about, we talked last time about the possibility of integrating the workforce housing piece into the commercial multifamily and not having standalone, but sounds like Mark's professional opinion is that's not going to fly
Yeah. So
legally.
what we actually looked at, and I think I put it in here for you as a reference. We'll just double check.
The language.
Yeah, what we looked at, it's in the workforce housing section, I think. Oh. Yeah, it's at the bottom of page 2 of the workforce housing section. Can Brentwood just focus on the commercial district?
No.
By state law, see below. This is me and Mark back and forth. So basically, you need to allow in your largest district some opportunity. You don't have to allow an opportunity for multifamily, but you have to allow an opportunity for a developer that came to you in your residential agricultural district and said, I'd like to do workforce housing here. It may have to be single-family units, but to give them an opportunity to do so. And so that's why we couldn't just make it a provision and kind of tuck it within, even though I was hopeful last time.
Yeah.
I had my wrist slapped and was told no.
So it could be completely orientated toward the residential district.
No, it would be townwide. And
Well,
so-
right, but
yeah.
within the,
The law says it has to be available in the majority of the residential areas where residential is
Was
allowed.
majority of areas zoned residential.
Right.
but he's indicating the commercial district would not be a great fit.
No, you can do it in the commercial district as well. We were trying to restrict it to the commercial district last time, and he said, no, we have to allow it.
The philosophy we're trying was in the residential district, they can build ADUs now, so that should help with some more affordable.
And that's
Options,
what
but-
original workforce ordinance allowed, anywhere in town.
Right. And I think that's because it was trying to meet state law.
So, I'm sorry, what's the no based upon? I didn't see the reference. Is there a citation?
If you read the state, I don't have the state law in front of me, but if you read the state law for workforce housing, it says that you must allow it in a majority of the town.
In a majority of the areas zoned for residential
Residentially.
in the town. In sense, 75% of our town is zoned for residential use in the residential agricultural district.
Right. but I
You
think-
can't
but
just
wasn't the,
limit it to the commercial zone.
Right.
but I thought the concept was what you were just saying, is that by virtue of having, an ADU.
It's not enough. It doesn't say just ADUs.
We
So ADUs
we
count towards your workforce housing, but it can't just be ADUs.
yeah, and I think it would be a court. Like ultimately, a court would decide if
Totally.
that passes muster or not.
Right.
So last week we were saying we felt.
But Glenn said he was willing to take that.
Yeah.
Yes.
take
That's what I
that
remember
on.
saying.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
I'm very easy with your money.
Yeah, I think last time we thought,
And I said that I'd be willing to, provide the defense on
So-
Cut
a
rate.
pro bono basis.
you guys
Can
can
we
go out
get
and make
that in
case law all you
writing?
want.
Someone said that too.
But the conventional wisdom is that 80, and this conventional wisdom, of course, is mainly based on ADUs before they were state mandated. Everything changed in 2017, and now we're 2025, and it just changed substantially again. But the background support hasn't occurred yet because all of these units haven't been built. I think it's very possible that if in fact we end up seeing that 30% of the residential lots in Brentwood end up with ADUs on them, how can a court say there isn't workforce housing available?
Yeah, 'cause
But-
you could point to your supply at that point.
Ex-
Say,
exactly.
Meeting.
Exactly, but right now, a court is going to rely on what the reality is in your town. And that reality does not exist.
Well, and I think I heard, I don't know if it was Mark, but somebody said a lot of the ADUs that are available right now are renting for $3,000
They-
for above workforce housing.
What the workforce
Right.
housing.
Yeah, they don't meet the
1900.
criteria based upon what you're getting for rent.
Right.
because they're so expensive to build.
They are. They are.
Okay.
Even if you can do it yourself. Still really expensive.
We had a person come in and say that exact same thing. Wow.
I have a good friend who's doing one himself, and it's very expensive.
Yeah, materials are still expensive.
It's it kills him every time he goes to CP Lumber.
The first comment on the ADU, it says, let's be sure we're not crossing the line. And I think that the comment is about other controls that wouldn't apply to the other houses. I'm
So-
assuming that's because we said, like, keeping the character. My thought on this is, we're keeping the character in part by not allowing two. You know, we're limiting it to one. It can be attached or it can be detached.
Right.
So I'm comfortable with that from that standpoint, but I don't know what other folks think.
I think it was when we added the last line, retain the neighborhood character and single-family appearance, which I'm totally fine with. Mark just flagged it and said, some may look at that and say you're kind of acting counter to the new state law.
Yeah.
It was a little bit more conservative look at it, and so I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt. We agreed to disagree, to share it with you, let you decide.
I think it'd be good to strike it, because what's the definition?
Sure. I mean, it's kind of showing your intent, but
It's not gonna do anything for the town, but it's going to make it look like we're trying to limit something. I think it'd be great just to strike that right out.
are you comfortable with that? Do you want to strike the last? Does that make
I mean,
you sad?
What does it mean if somebody comes to me and say, I'm a developer, and I wanna build something with a rural character and that type of appearance? What detail are you going to give them?
It's
Well,
a
we've-
little vague, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about having suggestions and giving them some guidance and asking, although it's not forcible, but asking them to make it, you know, retain the appearance of a single
Isn't
family
the cost
home.
of the land and the cost of development going to make that happen anyway? I mean, the developer's gonna build something that people want to purchase.
We've talked about this before. You can build it like you built it, where you can't tell from the road, or you can build it to look like a house.
Yeah.
Like someone near and dear to you.
But, you know, so we can encourage people to do that, you know, to build a carriage house or a garage that, you know, in the park, but
I guess you could leave it in.
But I know we can't
who's
enforce
gonna
it.
make that decision? So when it goes to the building inspector, somebody fills out a building permit, who's going to look at that sketch and decide if that's pertains to this?
well, I know that's a good question that came up you got an email, right, about that? Like, how do we do that right now and make sure that people are building and not in the wetlands and,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, a
We don't have
single-family
a lot of
house can be
controls.
totally out of character with a neighborhood.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, like, this is going to sound kind of hypocritical because I think I was the one that maybe even proposed this language last meeting. But I mean, I could go either way because I mean, like, I don't think it's a problem, but I also don't think getting rid of it is a problem. You know, I could kind of go either way, and I don't necessarily think we need to spend too much time on it. But that's just kind of my opinion, and it's probably contradictory to what I said last meeting. But that's how it goes.
You have a right to do that.
so we can't
flip-flopper.
do, we can't make people come in and get a conditional use permit.
Correct.
Is there anything else we can do, like a design meeting or, you know,
No.
something non-binding?
Not if you don't do it for a house.
Yep.
But
It's great.
here's my take on this. This is in a section that's called purpose and objectives.
Right.
Right.
It is not in a purpose called standards for an ADU.
Right. Yeah.
If it was in a section that was called standards for ADUs, I think it would, I think everyone would flag it. I think Mark is being super aggressive and conservative to flag this one.
And he understood he was, because my argument was the same as you. It's showing intent. It's trying to show
That's
the
all it's
spirit
doing.
of what you're doing.
That's all it's doing.
Vague, open to interpretation.
You can ask the building inspector upon seeing a plan that just looks like a second house on the lot could say, do you feel like that fits the neighborhood character? And the person could either say, oh my gosh, you're right, it kind of doesn't. Or pound sand, building inspector, because I can do whatever I want. But it doesn't hurt for someone, for there to be something that could make someone consider what they're doing.
Right,
We
based
just can't
on,
make them.
this
Yeah,
is, you know,
that
what the
makes sense to me.
community,
You're saying it's more of a philosophy. than
It
a
really
standard.
is. That this first section is supposed to convey why the town is doing ADUs.
What I liken it to is, you know, if you're into legislation like I am, because I'm weird, but like a lot of bills will have a legislative intent section. And the legislative intent typically doesn't have a lot of legally binding stuff in it.
Yeah.
But it is but the reason it's in there is sometimes if there's a court challenge, it's helpful, you know, to know what the legislative intent is. But other times it's to kind of send a message to the public about what we're getting at, so to speak, but it doesn't necessarily.
This is
Yeah.
really verbatim, the language is verbatim to what is in our present ADU
Yeah.
ordinance, so.
I'm in favor of keeping it.
Nobody's ever complained about it.
And the only reason there's a concern is because the state legislation was so strict about saying if you don't have an appearance code for regular houses, you can't have it for your ADUs, which is, that goes beyond what I think this is sort of saying.
Can we say like strive to retain or something?
I think this does exactly what we want it to do. It says that there is an interest that neighborhoods don't drastically morph into something different because everybody can have one more dwelling unit on the site.
You're trying to,
We're not saying you can't, we're not saying it's not gonna happen. We're gonna say this is our objective, but our design standards really say it can look like whatever you want it to look
Yeah.
like.
you're trying to legislate taste.
Can we put on, do we have a building inspector currently?
Yes,
Yes.
Chuck.
Okay, can we bring them in to, maybe not right away, but to talk about what happens when somebody comes in and says they want to build an
Yeah,
ADU?
I could schedule a
So they
meeting with you guys and
understand,
Chuck.
like, where we're coming from.
It might be really good if we
What that
have that meeting with
process-
him right after town meeting. When we know everything, when we know if it's passed or not.
Well, I mean, we could do it sooner too, because maybe he'll see something that we're
Oh.
missing.
Yep.
And we can do both.
Not
Another
that
voice.
all of us haven't looked at this one.
Chuck I've been working really closely with Chuck lately.
Okay,
Great guy.
Yeah, he is. He's-
so at
bounce
his
stuff off each
convenience,
other.
maybe?
Great hire.
Yeah,
Really
no,
good.
absolutely, absolutely. We get along well, and I think he'd be more than happy to come in and talk to you. But I think Glenn has a super point, like, we're talking about potential legislation that that ordinance that may pass.
Well, except right now, we're in this gray zone where the state law passed, and
Right.
somebody can
Mhm.
build a
Right.
detached dwelling right now.
Yeah,
So I think it would be
yeah.
good, I think we could have
Sure.
a conversation now, maybe a follow-up conversation.
Would you
later.
like that the next meeting?
At his convenience?
Yeah.
Okay.
Other thoughts on the ADU?
Steve's like,
We're
seriously. We're on 45 minutes and we've talked about one line.
This approach is problematic on page 2.
Yeah, we
So
just struck
can
that.
we, can you go over this whole 750 square foot thing again? So we said, so he crossed out what we did last time?
No, we crossed that out in previous drafts.
Oh, okay.
And then the stuff above that is what we added based on our conversation last time. You wanted 1,300 square feet or 50%. And then Mark and I get into an interesting thought exercise about, well, what if the unit is 1,000 square foot home? And he's like, well, they can't make it be less than 750. Otherwise it'd be, because the state.
That's the state.
State says it can't
Yeah.
require it to be less than 750. So that's what we came up with for now. It seems a little wordy. So we're open to other suggestions as you kick it around.
What might be helpful is a little table
Table,
that
sure.
says, you know, if your house is this size, then you can do this. If it's 1,000
Yeah, we'll look
square
and see
feet.
if there's a good way to do it in the table.
I don't think that wording is very difficult.
Okay, good. It's better than it was, but I still think it's a little wordy. As long as it makes sense to you, and if we could do a table with it that helps show.
I think the table would
math.
be helpful just
Yeah.
for people looking and if they have any sense of what their house size
I
is.
don't find this hard, but a table.
So maybe if a table, maybe the scenario is it's a 2,500 square foot house, so it ends up being less than 13.
Yeah.
So we show.
So these comments are resolved.
Yes, and we can take them out.
Right. Anything else on the ADUs?
Did we say we're staying with page 1? No changes?
I'm fine with it.
Keep it in for now and have your
Yes.
conversation with the building inspector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have time leading up to the hearings and during the hearing, first hearing, to be making changes, definitely. What one do you want to do next?
Commercial, multifamily.
All right. So this is the biggest change. This section's a little bit more streamlined. So on the first page, we really tried to put down again all the things we talked about last time. So creation of a new industrial district. The former multifamily commercial industrial district along 125 becomes commercial district. The former multifamily professional office commercial industrial district along 125 and north of 101 becomes commercial district. The former multifamily professional office district north of North Road becomes part of residential agricultural. And then the town center district stays for now. I know there was a little bit of debate back and forth about whether it stays, but
Glenn's not ready.
yeah. So then, under commercial district, we just tried to change it all over to being the commercial district. Some of these are changes you saw last time for the initial draft. We have in there a density of 6 units per 1 acre, up to 8, if you do the workforce housing units. We also have in here, we changed remember I tried to push you to make your setbacks smaller. We ended up on 100 feet from 75. It was 125, so we made those changes.
Slaps you a little bit.
You did. It was fine. They're your setbacks, so you should get what you want. One thing I wanted to highlight, page 5, I sent along some images to Mark, and I think maybe Kristen and Glenn. When Mark Fougere and I were looking around for some examples from other towns. One of the things we noticed with the garden-style apartments is it's hard to find a 2-story, especially a nice-looking 2-story. And so we started talking about what's the economy of scale? Why does it seem most developers are doing 3-story garden-style apartments? And we had put in here, I think, for your consideration, or based on things we had learned from you, under garden-style apartments on page 5, we said maximum 24 units, so you could have basically 12 and 12, so 6 over 6 on each side, and 2-story. And then we thought we should at least bring it to your attention that we're not seeing a lot of 2-story. You could still have that in there. You might be the right Brentwood scale. That's that 2-story. If you go back, sorry, the 2-story that
Super sensitive on
I guess it is
on the mouse. Yeah.
Well, you can see 3-story there. We tried to find some of the Portsmouth examples that looked like they could maybe fit in behind some commercial here on 125.
This is a 2-story one in Hampton.
Okay, that looks like it's been around a while.
It has been around a while.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
you can't, you
can do
you-
'em.
You
Yeah.
can do it.
We just weren't finding
And-
new
and
ones.
this has,
Which is it one?
it's one in Hampton down on North Beach.
Kind of townhome style, right?
Yeah, and they've made it look like it's sort of English looking.
Different colors.
Yeah, in different fascias. Some are brick, some are clapboard, some are just typical, whatever that's called.
Yeah.
when it's not clapboard.
Again,
Vinyl
water,
siding.
water and sewage there.
And that's a tasteful area. in
Um,
Hampton.
I think that this would be water and sewer, yeah.
I just have one quick question on a mixed use.
But it's.
Yeah.
How do you get the housing density calculation? Do you pull out what's used in commercial and what is left over you can use as the housing density calculation? Or how do you come up with that calculation when it's a mixed use?
So for the subsurface, because you're having to figure out what the septic loading is, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
mhm. Like you have a total upland, you
depend
have a
on that
total
commercial
upland
use.
area,
Right.
Yeah.
right? And so part of that is going to be taken up with commercial. So do you subtract that from the upland area and then use the remaining as what you calculated for your housing?
Yeah, I mean, you have to know ideally what you're aiming for a commercial use.
Okay.
Because if it's storage,
Mhm.
it's a much lower loading than if it's a restaurant.
Okay.
We were just talking about this for Barrington this morning because they're guessing that some of the uses are going to come in initially and be like coffee shop or office. But what happens when you want it to become a restaurant later on? And they don't have, because they've built the units up back, they don't have the space for the additional loading.
Okay.
So it's something we're thinking about.
Yeah, I was curious about that and how exactly, obviously it's case specific, but I think we need to put some thought into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really driven by septic loading and storage is a much
Lower impact.
lesser use than a restaurant per se.
Can
So-
you, yeah, go ahead.
So are you recommending that we consider 3-story?
We just wanted to
or-
highlight it for your consideration. I
Yeah.
think because one of the things you're trying to do is provide some housing that does have some affordability,
Mhm.
and we're seeing a lot of the newer units are 3-story, we wanted to flag it. The one example I have in there that's 2-story, that's a nice-looking building, is in Burlington, Vermont, and I don't know the backstory. I don't know what the funding was, that one there. That was one of the few that we could find that kind of had more of a rural appearance. The gardens don't hurt out front, makes for a nice picture. But we also don't know the origin story of that development.
What would the height be?
For a 2-story or for the 3?
3.
I mean, you're probably talking 45 feet.
Right now, we're at 35 feet. 35 feet, yeah.
Yeah. So you're talking probably to give a little flexibility, you're talking a little bit taller.
You'd have to go 50.
No, I think if you could put it to 45, that would be a consideration.
Can you do a combination of both?
What do you mean?
The developer wanted to do 2-story, 3-story.
Oh, sure.
We just have to allow 3 stories.
The height requirement.
And maybe you only allow it for workforce housing.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
You gave me
can
that
absolutely
idea.
do that.
You
can
could do
absolutely
that.
So the bonus
The bonus units
would
would,
be you could build another
go bigger.
story.
Yeah.
I like that. That looks like, I mean, they have dormers.
yeah, it's probably just
Those-
attic space for HVAC and stuff.
Yeah,
Could be livable space, but it would still be considered a 2-story, I think.
yeah.
We can look at that for you and say 3-story.
Now,
For
this
workforce
would be a
housing.
3-story example.
Is
Looks
that,
like there's garages under.
Yeah, townhouses.
because that doesn't use up more land,
Right.
but allows that density for workforce housing.
Yeah, I'd rather allow the 3 stories to make it more likely to happen, personally. I don't know how you guys think.
I mean, it's something we, I think, need to consider just because a significant portion of town really can't be developed because of wetlands and other, so, yeah.
Right. It does give you density in smaller pockets, hopefully.
a
Maybe
valid
make it
point.
more likely to happen. Maybe you could get some workforce housing out of it if it's the carrot. And you could also try it, and then you can change the regulations. So like, if somebody approaches you and they're like, yeah, this isn't, or if you talk to the developers you already talked to and say, this is what we're thinking about, would you guys go for this? Should we make it 3-story? Should we have it as an incentive? You might get some feedback.
How many stories are some of the bigger buildings on 125, like the hardwoods or
2-story at most.
2?
And they're really
They s-
1-story buildings, just tall to facilitate storage of one
Right.
meter. Well, they are 1-story buildings. You know, the big thing is, and I guess I'm probably not the majority here, I'm just worried about.
Bruce, could you maybe just move a
Yeah,
little closer?
I'm just concerned that we need to, you know, all these thoughts are great and ideas are great, but if we can't pass them at town
Right.
meeting, and we know how people feel as a result, or certain people feel as a result of the survey that was done. I mean, we trying to bite off more than we can chew for the first year. We can always add things, but I think when people see, a lot of people that took the survey see the garden-style apartments, if you allow 3 stories with a maximum of 24 units. I just think that's going to be a death knell. I mean, practically. Again, we have to get to pass. Anything we can't get past is just a wasted effort.
So you have your own destiny that you can choose as Brentwood, or you have the destiny that may be handed to you if you decide not to find a way to comply with the state law. And maybe nobody challenges you, or maybe you get something
Yeah,
that's bigger than 24
I'm still
units.
wondering, I think, you know, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of trying to sell this, and if people probably will come out.
Yeah.
More people than normal to hearings, but we've got to have some kind of an actual piece of land in town or a typical piece of land in town depicted on a piece of paper that is of the acreage, the bounds of the property are similar to something that we have. And looking at our soils to see, is any of these things really possible? in this
Sounds
high
like you've
density?
had some proposals that were like that. I heard at the
We
last
have,
meeting.
one.
I actually, at the end of last meeting, told you that I talked with
Yeah.
Wayne about the property that Mr. RV Vehicles, I forget his name, from Kingston, property that's next to Tractor Supply.
Mhm.
So on Wednesday, I will call Wayne and ask him.
Yeah, I think people are gonna have to see that
because
once they see it.
He proposed something that
I like that.
exceeded what our requirements
I
were
Top right.
in a design
Oh,
review.
Yep.
And
Very modern.
if we give him something that
I
has
think it-
things to shoot at, I think he would present us with something.
Yes.
So
Modern,
I'll
but woodsy.
reach out to him.
You start
Because
three
this
stories, such a
24 number-
departure from where we are.
But we,
We need to do it.
yes,
We need to do
we
it
do.
in such a way that we're actually can move that ball ahead a little bit, maybe not all the way to the goal the first time, there may be some downs in between.
Yeah, I guess I'm just, I have a hard time picturing it, because I think of like some of the bigger buildings we have in town and big barns, they seem, I guess I'm having a hard time picturing how much
More 40
taller it would
feet
really be. But the other thing is, so the maximum of 24 units, but we're still talking 6 per acre, 8 if there's workforce.
Right.
So that would be on 3 or 4 acres.
Right.
With our wetlands, likely 5 or 6 acres
So it's one building in a very big lot.
in a very big lot.
But to Bruce's point, 'cause I think you bring up something very important, is that especially with not just town meeting, but also in the public hearings, having something visual is going to be really key because, you know, it for us as people, you know, we can read things, but I'm kind of a believer that it's easier for us, just in when I say us, I mean just people in general, when we can really kind of see something tangible. I think that's very helpful.
You know, the average resident knows that we have one house on 2 acres now, so when they come in and they see 24, you know, the answer is kind of like, no.
But that's not 24
Well,
houses on
no, not
2
not
acres.
per acre, but it's still a big departure from where we
Yeah.
are. Something we need
And,
to do.
you know, we've narrowed down the area where it's a very specific
that
area.
We're completely removing this idea
What's
from
that?
the
Is that
agricultural
three?
residential zone.
The one on the left,
Right.
We
Right.
were
it looks
looking
like
to
it's
put it
three
in the
with a
commercial
top of
district,
a
where everybody
garage.
wanted us to put it.
Right.
but
They
those
didn't want any
townhouses.
more residential development. They told us specifically, they want it in the commercial zone.
And if we want to have examples, we can just have them go look at Abbey Way.
Yeah, right.
That density is probably close to the 24 units we're talking about.
And everything's still going to be limited by septic.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they've got a lot of common land behind that. But based on all the towns that you work for and done work for, again, are we biting off too much? Should we concentrate on the ADU and on the multifamily now and maybe do workforce next year? I mean,
Yes.
This is
Even
the
if it
year.
fails,
This is the year.
Even if workforce fails, and if people are against workforce, they're against workforce. So even if it fails, then at least we will have spent time talking about it.
It
and
just
will
puts a
be-
bug in their ear to
Well,
get
I-
them going.
Exactly.
I think of this as a package, though, too. I mean, I think, you know, we've talked a lot about state law, ADU, multifamily and commercial,
three-
workforce.
Workforce, they're
All 3 are
mandated.
state law
They're all
that
mandated.
some of at least some of our representatives for this town voted for. So we need to present this package to people as, you know, we're trying to do these things to comply with state law in a way that works for our community.
And I do think we've already pulled back pretty significantly.
We have. I think we need to remember, like, we've moved.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about a lot of things that we could. we're really trying to do the most responsible thing.
I do think, to answer your question, Bruce, that most communities are asking the question you just asked, like, are we biting off more than we can chew? And most of them are coming back to these three. And so we're seeing that we're having a meeting next week in New London, and they're actually going to make 2 additional small changes, and they're worried about those 2 additional small changes because they go beyond the state requirements. But they're thinking they're things that people have actually shown interest in, and so they're kind of packaging them together and putting all the chips forward. So it's a good question.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, people are aware that there's changes afoot in state law and things that we have to do. But I think, just personally, that maybe having everything together as one package is just going to elicit a big no.
But when you say everything together, is
Well,
this gonna be,
ADUs, multifamily,
Right.
workforce.
but they'll be voted on individually?
They will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that if your gripe has been maybe for a decade that workforce housing isn't important in Brentwood, you can just come out and say no again.
Right.
And
You
I
could
hope
say
We've-
yes
we've
to-
said it-
You could say
We've
yes.
said it once.
Right, you could say
You can-
yes to ADUs and no,
Yeah.
to- yeah.
Exactly.
So it's not
But
like-
I
it's not like one package.
I
that
hope
we're
that they
gonna-
were rational in that sense. Instead
But
of-
I still think we've talked about this too. It's our responsibility to communicate this to people, that this is a law that we're not in compliance with, and I've been reluctant to say that very clearly, but
Sure.
it's been said enough times now.
Well, I commend the
We
team
need
that-
this.
That article they have for the Brentwood newsletter, the next Brentwood newsletter is excellent because it talks about, these are the minimum things, requirements that we have to address in order to comply with state law, but they're minimum.
And that's why we're in this position, because the state legislature, not just ours, but in other states, got frustrated with planning boards not doing anything, or townspeople not voting on things. So now we're being forced to do
Or towns doing them,
this,
and then after a couple of examples, backing off.
repealing
Who,
things.
who are you talking about? Come on.
Sorry, Doug, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, well, so I was just going to say, like, because I don't want to jump ahead too much. Although I think we're kind of in workforce housing now. And I was going to bring this up at the end of the discussion, but I'll just bring it up now because you brought up a really important point, Chris. And I think that in November we need to start office hours to give like rotating office hours with members so that folks can come in.
Discuss it.
And discuss it with us, and
I think we know what people's concerns are, so I don't think we need to, what is it? Defeat ourselves, basically,
No.
by setting ourselves up and
You
No,
could
but-
be
but-
dispelling myths and fears
Yeah,
as well.
and-
I mean, if
and-
they have concerns and you talk to them and can alleviate those concerns, that's creating another piece of support.
yeah, the more opportunities that we can give people to ask questions, and I just think we really should seize on that.
If it's helpful, if you want to do that kind of outreach, transparency, being accessible, we can take basically the profiles that we created before for the forum, we can update them to make sure that they relate to the language that you're considering now for the three.
True, yeah.
And we could create a sheet that goes on the front. I say we. I'm sketching this out for you. She could do it better.
It's gonna be 4 though, right? It'll be 4.
Just at 3 right now.
3.
But isn't the change in the districts, isn't that a 4th?
We kind of have it bundled, so we're the change in all the commercial districts, and then multifamily as a use within that commercial district.
we will have to change our industrial, though,
Yeah.
right?
So there may be some other small ones that we can identify, but we want to keep them focused on the 3 big ones, I think.
But you're right, those are questions
Will
that
lead to
will
other questions.
be zoning questions.
Yep.
Those will be on the ballot.
Right. It sounds like 4 as opposed to 3.
I think some of that work's gonna fall to us, meaning Glenn.
Yeah.
You can
it's-
bundle them
It's
into,
tangential to the actual
Right.
housing issue.
Well, we could create a single page that says, this is what the planning board's doing and why, and here's how it relates to
The
the 3
major.
changes or the 3 state law issues and compliance. So there's one overview sheet that if Doug's meeting with somebody, you can start there and be like, these 3 fit together, here's why we're doing it. They may think it's too much, they may think it's not enough, you'll hear both sides. And then you can get into the profile, and then if they are a detail person, you can get into the redlining. Would that be helpful to kind of have it as a packet, called draft all over it?
Yeah,
That'd be awesome, yeah.
helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the type of stuff we're also supposed to be helping you with, so we want to make sure you're getting all the pieces, because you're putting in the time having the conversations.
How, kind of an odd time to ask, how are we doing spending your time?
Oh, I don't have no idea. No, you're doing fine. You still have some money left. I said to Crystal, I should have checked before we came down, but there's still money left for us.
So we're not, you're not,
You're not out yet.
you're not, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think we're good. You'll be out before the end of the year.
It'll when we run out, it'll be like Back to the Future. You guys will just kind of like slowly disappear, like in Back to the Future.
Mark will show up back here. You don't know why he's here. No, I think it's been a really good use of the funds. I think we're trying to spend as much time in the process and create as many different deliverables that you can mix and match. And if something were to happen, something doesn't go forward in 2026, you have the materials that are editable. So we'll make sure
Right.
everything ends up with Mark so that you have a copy of everything when we are done before we evaporate.
Well, it seems like we're close to an end.
Yeah, so I guess one of my questions, I don't want to cut off the conversation if there are other edits you guys want to talk about tonight,
I
but one of
wanted
my,
to ask about the highlighted questions
yeah,
in here.
which one?
For bedroom definition, delete or rewrite.
What
Yeah,
page
so
are you on?
definitions,
6.
page 6. So these we had flagged way back when we did the audit. And this was to bring it into compliance with the new definitions that are available. And one other change that Mark Fougere caught that I emailed Glenn, Mark, and Kristen about was we actually had a reference in your workforce housing of multifamily being 3 or more. It should be 5 or more. And so I fixed it in my draft, and I'll make sure the next version it's fixed. That got past us. Glad he caught it. So thoughts about when do you want us to come back to a meeting? Do you want us just to create the outreach materials and send them? Like, how do you want to proceed?
I'm thinking now, not knowing exactly how much we have left,
Yeah.
that it might be good to save some of your time
Yeah.
for a public hearing.
Yeah, I can send you an update on where we're at, and we can start working on the outreach materials, and then we can do that.
Okay.
Yep. And then if other changes come up in your conversations and you need edits done or you need something else researched, you can just call on us.
Well, that's true. That's what the public hearings are all about.
Yeah.
Really let residents
Sometimes
come
it's
in.
nice to have a non-staff person who can present some of this and take a couple bullets for the team, and that's what we will do.
If you want to go back in your emails, I did send you this plan set. It's going to be entitled Great Bay Investments. And this was the design review that we had for a mixed use.
Yeah, I'd like
If-
to
If you keep your emails, you will find this under Great Bay Investments.
try to do the calculation with the
That's
draft
what, that-
ordinance and see if it's.
that's what I'm gonna ask him to do.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask him
Um,
to apply this information
To that plan.
to
that.
that plan.
yeah, because we know that's,
Would that be more valuable to
Interesting.
a developer if they would eliminate the commercial use and just build apartments or multifamily?
Maybe,
Seems like it would.
maybe. I'll ask him to, if he's willing, to do it just with
Well,
multifamily.
maybe with our new definitions, not
Yeah.
our new calculations.
That's a good question.
Kind of interesting.
I have a question, this is more for the board, but on page 2, allowed uses in the commercial districts, we have manufacturing and warehousing, and I've had this concern in the back of my head for a long time that somebody could come and try to build one of those massive warehouses. And especially now, if we're gonna have more housing potentially on 125, I don't really want a massive warehouse with a lot of trucks going in and out. I don't know how you guys feel about limiting the size of that, or it looks like it was added in 2002.
Were you?
On page
page
2
2.
of the,
G?
Yeah,
Yeah.
warehousing today can mean
They're huge.
huge.
Mm.
I
Interesting.
think it's your commercial zone, and it should be a commercial zone. The state said you can put multifamily housing there. And commercial property helps your tax base. And I think limiting that in any capacity, I think would be not a wise move.
What about the size, limiting the size? We can do this one.
Yeah, we'll flag it as a question.
And since the tax is based on the building, and these buildings are just big empty boxes, it's not as impactful maybe as some other uses.
The taxation on a warehouse is quite extensive, seeing how it doesn't put any children in your school system. Like, the amount of services that it actually needs are very minimal. And that's why commercial property is valuable to your tax base.
Yeah. I'm just concerned about the truck traffic. 125.
It
We
is a
want-
state highway.
Manufacturing
Where else
vehicles,
would you want your truck traffic? On
what-
Scrabble Road?
Well, I don't think we want a major facility with major,
You don't want to
I'm not-
generate more truck traffic than was already in.
And you're probably picturing an Amazon-like large.
There's no room for that here. We don't have.
The
the problem with
manufacturing is
that.
also like TurboCam in Barrington, and if Brentwood could ever get a development like TurboCam to come down, it's a huge manufacturing.
yeah, I'm not saying manufacturing. The warehouse piece is what makes me a little nervous. Just because of trends and what's being built in the last 10 years, it's a lot of,
It seems like that land would be valuable enough
Massive
for
fac-
people wouldn't come in and put a self-storage project there. I mean, they could, but what is warehousing? You'd have to define that. It seems like that might be a stumbling block, but
Well, if you go by Kingston's experience, there's a 780,000 square foot warehouse approved
sure.
just
Mhm.
a quarter mile south of the Brentwood border.
Exactly. And people love that.
Well,
People in town.
some people do, and the
Majority.
tax is going to be huge, huge.
Huge.
so will the truck traffic.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
on 3 different state highways. They are state highways.
Yeah. Okay, that's a discussion for another night. Anything else on the housing pieces?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll work on new versions and the other outreach materials and get those up to you with
Yeah, can
update on the
you-
budget.
Delete or resolve any comments that
We will.
we've
Yep, sure.
talked about?
It will just save as new versions, so you'll have these to look back at if you're wondering what was
Okay.
discussed.
I have them all in a file.
Yes.
Sorry, Paul, what were you asking?
Yeah, I was just
Thank you very
clarifying what you were
Well,
talking about
appreciate it.
before. It's been existing for like 20 years.
Steve, are you at work
What? What, that building?
Okay.
Just say.
I'm actually away tomorrow.
Doesn't mean we shouldn't
I don't
revisit
care
it.
about your private life. I want you to be
Things have
available
changed a
when I
lot in
want
20
you to be
years.
available.
I haven't noticed.
No. I will contact you on Tuesday.
But again, just thinking about your budget, if, I think these articles in the Brentwood newsletter probably do more than they hit probably 20 times the number of people who will hit at a public hearing. Would there be some money for the next, say, December? So we're talking, you've got the
We have
November.
one for
and
November still
Right.
to do, and then if there is money left, we could write maybe a broad one about the public hearings and stuff for December. We could,
Yeah,
yeah, give that some
Any-
thought.
even into January, well in advance of
If
time.
this budget will write until June.
Well, they've given us a lot of material now too. We can
Recycle.
recycle, edit, and combine.
All right.
You guys are always
Maybe we do that
welcome.
In a half hour.
She's available. She's freelance. She can.
Wait, can I talk to you tomorrow? Are you at work?
Who I want to talk to.
She's
Depends
not.
on what you need.
She's not.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next item on the agenda is continued site plan review for 1 Smith Road, and we do not have a request for continuation, correct?
No, I emailed Brian this morning and got no response.
Well, I talked with the engineer that they have hired to do the stormwater management, not yesterday, but the Wednesday before, to let him know what we expected him to do on the site. And it was gonna require quite a bit of work. So he did say there was no way he was going to be able to be done with it by Wednesday. By today for Thursday.
Right.
So I swear to God, he told me he was going to talk to Ryan and get a letter of continuation. But we should not bag this. We should continue this to the next meeting,
Yeah, agreed.
even
Can
without
we
their
assess
request.
sanctions?
Can you what?
Assess sanctions?
Well, we could, because there's no formal request, we could kill it on the vine right now. I would prefer you don't do that.
No.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Because it just means that they will spend money reapplying to get back to a point that they won't be able to do for the next meeting in 2 weeks. Because we won't have time to notice and have the separation required. So if we do that, we're putting them off to at least the middle of November.
So like the court, if I was late with a deadline like that, after being late, would say, all right, I'll give you one more chance, but you're being, sanctioned. If you're gonna file, gonna give you this relief, you're gonna have to pay a $250 fine.
We have no ability to do that.
No, it's not.
No.
But we could continue till the next meeting, and if the situation hasn't changed, then drop it.
By all means, we could say, we don't see forward progress. So 2 things are gonna happen. We're gonna end the site plan review process, and we're gonna start code enforcement. And they're not going to like that at all, so they should. There was no indication from Christian that meeting 2 weeks out would be difficult for him.
Okay.
He just couldn't do it in a week.
It sounds like the understanding was that they would want to come in 2 weeks, but they just didn't.
Yeah,
Yes.
they, once they found out the degree to which we anticipated and expected stormwater management to comply with our regulation, he simply said he couldn't do it in a week.
But it's not very professional for Ryan not to come forward.
No, it isn't. That's not really good. But what I heard was the engineer was going to call the applicant's representative, and apparently that didn't happen.
But you say the least common denominator is we want to see this process
Right,
go forward
we do.
and have some control.
we
have the
want to
town be able
see
have some control.
forward motion on this application.
So I'll make a motion to continue the One Smith Road application until November. that will be
6th.
6th, November 6th.
Are you going to be here?
No, that's fine. We're gonna handle it.
I'm not going to be here.
Paul will handle it. At a reduced.
Are you
rate.
guys going somewhere together?
Yeah.
No.
The top.
Is anybody else going to be absent on November 6th?
I'll be here because I'm not invited to go with the
Yeah.
boys.
Same.
Yeah.
Okay, we had a second.
Who was the second?
Well, unless you want to, I'll
Doug.
withdraw. If you think it's better to wait till maybe more practical by the time Kristen Smith gets his.
The,
I-
Yeah,
Stormwater.
it might be a good
The-
idea just to wait until he has
But-
his results.
What would?
but my only concern with that is if they are ready before then, if we continue it to a date certain, we can't do it sooner.
But that's their fault. They should have, if they actually
true.
thought that was true, so,
That's a
Maybe
fair
that's
point.
not who's
That's a fair
doing it.
point.
It's been like a history
yes.
of things here, that's what.
I mean, my patience is wearing thin. I will say that. I think-
I'm
Doug's
frustrated.
patience is wearing thin. This is-
But I'd like to strike that
Not
first
good.
motion and make a motion for the second meeting. Mark, when's the second meeting? If it wasn't the
It's the
6th.
6th, it's 14 days later, it's the 20th.
The 20th.
The 20th.
Okay, so I'll make a motion.
Well, if you look at the calendar, if they can't get it done in 3 weeks, there's a
Yeah.
problem.
Right, because this,
I would
I'm
leave it
fine
on the
with
6th.
6th, and if we don't, either they're not here or they haven't asked for another continuance.
maybe
We're
they
done.
do ask for a continuance.
No, I talked to Christian before Glenn, and it seemed that as soon as he got the information from Glenn that he needed, that he was going to
He had
start
his
on that.
marching.
And that would
Yeah.
give them 3 weeks.
I'll reintroduce the motion for the 6th.
I will second it again.
Any other discussion?
Just, I feel like it's another example of them flouting, the planning board and.
I didn't
and our
realize
rules.
what a professional engineer entailed, meaning I was always under the impression that Ryan was a PE.
No.
And he's just a licensed land surveyor who can't do drainage calculations. One
So
would have thought that
it's
they
not
would have
his
been way
fault.
sooner on the ball with that.
But that's really
Ryan
false
would
to
have
the
known that.
applicant. It's really the applicant's responsibility to
Yeah.
have hired someone
Yeah.
that could do. the
Agr-
required-
Agreed.
Right, because.
Agreed.
Because there was a lack of caring.
Yes.
That's
Mhm.
what it is apparent.
Yep,
And that
agreed.
bothers me.
Yes.
Yeah, well, here's your opportunity.
But when it comes to enforcement down the
Oh,
line,
I hear two no votes over here.
if it comes down to code enforcement and it does get to court, maybe remand it
done our
back
due
to
diligence.
allow them to have an opportunity to present their information, so.
All right, well, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Abstain? Did you?
Reluctantly, I said aye.
All right, but let the minutes show that if we don't see forward movement at the next meeting, we will not offer another continuance on our own.
Thank you.
Okay. Request for proposals for an engineering firm. Glenn, is there anything you wanted to point out or ask on what you drafted?
No, this is what we used the last time we went through this process.
Oh, good.
All right.
So do we need a motion to publish or?
I have a comment,
Mhm.
which, I mean, I know you guys have done this in the past, but just throwing it out there. Have you guys in the past ever discussed or considered requests for qualifications instead of requests for proposal? I only suggest that because, in my opinion and experience, you may ultimately get better results doing it that way. It's a two-stage process where you evaluate them based on their qualifications, not considering their fee. And that way, when you do a request for proposals and the fees included, oftentimes you're evaluating based on who the lowest cost is, and it kind of creates a race to the bottom in some instances.
Could that be
Whereas-
all rolled into one, to have a proposal like this says, but to incorporate those requests that you're making to show their credentials? And
Well,
What's
this
in
is
here?
asking for that, but it includes a price, so sometimes you
She wants
can't
it
help
blind.
but just,
Oh,
She wants it
like-
blind.
this does have a price?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
my understanding,
does.
skimming it. So what I've experienced this before is people submit their qualifications, you'll select your top choice there, then they'll provide the fee. If you can't come to a negotiation on the fee, you move to the next one on the list. Or an alternative that's somewhere in between is you shortlist a top 3 or something, and then review all of their fees and then make a decision.
Is there somewhere, like in the state, a list of licensed engineers? Who do we send this out to?
So I don't know what our normal procurement process is.
We ain't got one.
I think we post this
Where?
on our website.
Maybe NHMA?
I don't know if people post RFPs on NHMA. You can send it to known entities.
I was gonna send it to who I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
Maybe post in a newspaper.
It's really common to just do legal notice in the Manchester Union Leader
Mhm.
that says there is a proposal package that you can have emailed to you if you're interested.
Mhm.
I just wondered if it was an engineering association with
Well,
members.
the
that we
cost
would-
is actually not that expensive because you don't put this whole thing in. All you put is a paragraph saying we're soliciting requests for proposals, responses, and contact Mark Kennedy for the bid package.
It's probably gonna cost you about $100.
Yeah.
Okay, last time I put a notice in the Union Leader was a lot more than that, but,
I just did one, it was $174.
okay.
The fee went up because we had to get the municipal rate. Our fee went up, I'm gonna,
Maybe I was more wordy. in my notice.
$34 per column.
Is that print or online
Wait a minute,
newspaper?
wait a minute.
That's in a printed version.
For
Printed?
Rosa,
I feel like I saw something on the New Hampshire Municipal Association page.
Maybe that's not the best
With
way, but it seems like if it was an
solicitation.
association of New Hampshire engineers, it would be a much quicker
There you go.
Yeah.
way to get the word out than
Yeah.
wait, than hoping somebody might read the union leader.
See, that's what I want to talk about Steve about, is he's a member of the New Hampshire Planners Association, which I abandoned a long time ago, but he still is, and I want to post something for Kingston with the
Okay,
Planners
yeah.
Association.
Well,
So posting something with an Engineers Association, I think would be,
So I'm on the board of the New Hampshire chapter of NSB, National Society of Professional Engineers. We have like a message board. I could probably post it
Yeah,
there.
nothing too formal necessarily, but
Yeah.
I just wonder who's gonna read the union leader, go through
Well,
print
a
paper.
lot of
Most
firms'
firms-
marketing departments just that's all they do.
they have somebody that does that.
Yeah. So it'll get out there. I mean, I can send it to my contacts.
Yeah, I think that it won't cost anything, would it, to, I mean, some of your
Put it on the
time.
message board, what would it cost to? Does
Oh,
that
no,
cost
that's
anything?
like any member can just post
Just
things.
the town of Brentwood is soliciting proposals for
Yeah.
engineering services.
Yeah, and I'll send it to just my network. I can post it on LinkedIn. It'll get out.
That's probably the best way to do it.
First,
So,
have a motion to adopt the RFP.
well, I was going to ask, so I've seen too where you do an RFP and the the fee schedule is separate.
It's like sealed. and
So
you
it's
open it
blind,
after.
so you review the qualifications part and then,
Yeah, there's different ways. That's my suggestion. I
I
can't.
kind of like that. We could just change this to say, we want this information, but we want it to be separate and sealed until,
and then we have a two-stage review process.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, cost is an important factor, of course, but this might.
But I like the
delay
idea,
it.
because if you see a number, you're gonna start making
We found
assumptions
out,
about.
Steph, I think you get what you pay for, it's the old adage.
Mhm.
And then I'm really wondering, I know what we spent, Mark, last year in engineering with the, the in and outs from the developers, but who's really gonna be interested in a $30,000 annual account?
I think a lot of places would be.
Really?
Yeah, I'd be surprised.
I think you might be surprised at how much we spent.
Well, I don't know.
Because we don't really spend it.
Right,
No.
and the next thing, so we should vote on this, on,
The only thing is, we
Yeah.
don't have dates here for when we're doing this.
oh,
9 copies of the proposal shall be submitted. Do we want 9 copies? No, we don't have a 9-copy committee that's gonna be looking at this. We're probably can ask for 4 or 5.
Well, I think it's important, we get them electronically. And then I can give that to the board, and then people who like hard copies, like the two on the end.
Well, on these,
No, we're gonna, I
You
would,
need-
I would
you
ask
need to
staff
have
to
them
review
see-
that. I
you
think
need to have them
those
see.
packets should come to you, and you.
For proposals like this that you're having come back, you want to have them not really looked at until you say you're going to look at them.
and they may want to put them in a binder, or,
Yeah, we got
Fire
them all
around them or
kinds of different
something,
ways
so-
last time. But the pricing did vary greatly,
It did.
greatly, yeah.
so let's say
Are we doing
7
interviews?
copies?
I need to read through this.
We always have.
Does this say there will be an interview?
So we have 60 days to review. Realistically, when are we going to review these? So when do we want them due? I think we should either do early to mid-December or wait until January.
I think January would be more
Oh, the
realistic.
top candidates will be asked to interview.
So is the prior contract expired at this point?
Yes.
Yes.
His response
Yeah.
to that was that the contract says it's in place until acted on otherwise. I
We have
guess
to-
I haven't looked at it.
Do like written notice to end it.
To
Probably.
end, that was what he said. That's what Chris said. But
That's
I
fine.
have not confirmed that.
But it's we should look at it, but it's probably a 30 days or 10 days.
Yeah, we don't want to end something until we have something.
Yeah.
And he committed, in the phone call to me, he said, we won't reapply, but we'll provide services
Oh,
until
he said
you
that.
have somebody else in place.
They're not going to,
No.
We asked him at the subcommittee meeting that day, are you interested? Do you want to do this? Would you like to continue? He was going to take that question back to the board there. So we do need to find someone else, someone new.
okay. Do we want this to December 15th or January 15th? Knowing that we have 60 days to make a decision.
Well, if we did it January, we could be doing decisions in February, in all the public hearings, in
Yeah.
all warrant article things have to go to the town clerk the first week of February, which means all of that will be behind us, and we could be having interviews with engineers instead of doing that
Start
right in
fresh.
the midst of us doing all the final work for town meeting.
Okay. So January 15th?
So January 15th would work way better.
Okay. Is that a weekday? That's not.
I can look. January 15th is a Thursday, actually. It's the third Thursday of January.
Okay, and we're not open Friday, so.
That works.
All right.
Nailed it.
Do we? So Glenn, you'll reword this a little bit
I
so that
will.
the
So that the money
numbers
aspect are in a sealed envelope.
okay.
We
Um,
don't need 9 copies.
And we do not need 9 copies, no.
but we probably need 5 or
Yeah, we'll have a number of them that are made available.
okay. So do we have a motion to post this once Glenn's made those changes and have it be due January 15th?
Second.
Or, well, so moved.
Okay.
Just quickly playing devil's advocate, want to give people time to respond, but it's what, mid-October? That seems like a very lengthy proposal period.
What are you suggesting?
I don't know, but
Should we wait to publish it until no?
I'm just thinking, I don't know if there's a downside. People might like forget about
Yeah.
it.
They could
Holidays.
forget about it, but
The holidays.
because of it's the 2 biggest holidays in America.
Yeah,
Well, 3 of them are happening between now and January 15th, right?
yeah, maybe it's better to keep it long, and if we don't get enough responses, we'll just post it again.
Right, we do, right.
Okay.
Okay.
Good point.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Mark, you were going to work on the forms, and we talked about changing our fees, which I think we should probably do before we. It kind of goes with the RFP.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking right when we're talking about this, because I might have to update the fees as well. So the mailings have gone up from $10 to $10.44 for a registered letter. I adjusted them already to 11. Now, I can show you. Just give me 1 second, sorry.
Well, do you want to just, for the next meeting, bring the updated forms?
Yeah, I can print them
Well,
out.
okay.
I think I have one more to mess around with. Sorry, just give me.
And then we talked a little bit about making sure there was enough time and money in there for the driveway inspections and anything.
Well, that's done through the Board of Selectmen, but they need to fix that.
We can make a recommendation.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we really need a review of what our driveway application is. I think that driveway application is something that was kind of put together by the old building inspector with maybe some input from TEC. But I hate to ask you stuff, but would it be possible for you just to look at our driveway application, just to see, are we
Yeah.
asking the right questions?
Yeah, I'll take a look and give my 2 cents. Don't mind doing
But
that.
that's right, Kristen, I mean, right now we have a application and a sign off, we collect the money for it, but we nowhere near enough. That's something TEC was absolutely correct on. They said, hey, $75 doesn't cut it. It won't allow us to go out on site and make that inspection.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, they are.
it's tough to keep increasing fees, but probably something in the realm of $250, $300 is more realistic in terms of an engineer's time. Some cases, they actually ought to go out and look at the proposed site before the permit's given out, and then go back and check that. Right now, there's no check and balance
Yeah,
whatsoever.
75 definitely isn't enough.
So this is what I've been working on. I've taken the application and just kind of redone the font of it, rewritten it,
Oh,
re,
The
re,
screen
re,
just went black.
oh, it did? I'm sorry.
Looks good.
Looks a little dark to me.
People at home can still see it. There you go. So, yeah, this town engineer might have to move. I've already updated that to $11. I've removed $150 for notice in the paper. We don't do that anymore. I've redone the checklists. Here are all like a conditional use permit. Kind of the same thing, same template, redid the checklist. Conditional.
So can you
Yeah, go ahead.
print those out for
Mhm.
the next meeting?
Yep.
And then maybe put a cover sheet on with a list, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What, 'cause it looks, there's a lot of them, right?
That many.
And then we can kind of go through together and check them off.
7, 8, 9. Right at the top of them, they do state what they are. Amendment to previous use site plan. So
Okay.
they're pretty much self-explanatory. Reading the top of them. I think I have one more to do. And just so you have a contrast to what they look like now.
Be under application.
Yeah, there's a subfolder.
Oh, there's a separate, yeah, thank you. We showed Joanne right at the top, so I'll grab one at the top. So that's what they look like now. Glenn and I did do a few other changes of email. What was the other one, Glenn, about, something about?
I don't remember, it's been quite a while.
Yes, it has been quite a while.
That was back in the summertime.
Yeah.
I was a younger person.
Well, true,
Um,
true. So there's a bit of context. between-
Yeah, if you scroll to the top, I think it'd be good to, where it says application for amendment, to like make that bigger, make that stand out more, so it's,
Older,
yeah, bolder, bigger, whatever, both, all the above.
font size?
Yeah. So when you look at it, you see what it is right away.
Okay.
But otherwise, thank you for doing all that. And thank you for taking the initiative to do all that.
Yeah. Well, we really needed to get the newspaper thing off of there.
Yeah.
Because but then little changes kept coming, and now we've got to have maybe some big changes coming, so.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad that we kind of held off, but I'll finish the last one. I think there's one more I have to do on the list.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the October 2nd minutes.
One minor change, I wasn't there, if we can just revise that.
I make a motion to approve the October 2nd minutes with Steph's revision.
Seconded.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Right?
There's a Bruce second, right?
We have some things to sign. So we're getting back on track with finances, is that right? So if there are any checks, they're gonna,
No, I have not received any bills. The one that I was going to bring to you was Glenn, but then I was told you can't do that because it comes out of a different fund altogether. So you can't sign that, but I haven't gotten any bills from Chris Raymond or anybody to have a check written.
okay.
And he bills monthly, so I'm hoping at the end of this month we'll have something for you.
But you're talking to Julie now.
Oh, it's been a very long, yes.
Um,
And I'm still trying to get the information required because I need what's left in the escrow account, if any. I think the account has been closed and there's nothing in the account for Tanya Lane. But I'm trying to confirm that with Ambrose.
Oh, do you want me? I can.
No, do not get it.
Oh, no,
No.
you will drive him to drink if you ask him about that.
Okay.
No.
But
No.
you're not saying, Mark, that there isn't any bond money, bond balance?
I did not say bond, sir.
Right.
I
you're
said
talking line-
escrow.
Escrow, okay. Cool.
Now, I have
No.
found in the file that he owed approximately $550 to pay an engineering bill with a bank check that we received to pay that bill. So it leads me to believe that there's no money in that escrow. But I need a slip or some sort of documentation from
That
our
it's-
accounting
That
department
it's empty.
telling me that, so I can send that information to the applicant, resubmit the bill to the applicant for him to pay that bill. And it's a legitimate, if so, you know, what's left in my escrow, I need to prove that. So we're in the middle of that that discussion with Ambrose, and I will get that, but I appreciate your patience on it.
I commend you, I think we all commend you for working on that, so that any applicant should be able to call up and understand.
No, at the end of this process, we will have an accountable, precise, well-oiled process that not only gives you a consent agenda, but gives me the ability to look at any of those accounts and tell exactly what's in them. When I receive a bill, that's the first thing I'm going to do. Is there money in that account to pay it? If there's not, I'm going to contact the applicant and say, hey, I have a bill. You need to provide more money in your escrow to do that. And I will have that all laid out for you. When bills get paid, when you sign checks, that money will be in the account for them to be paid from the
Well,
applicant.
it sounds like it's a good plan now for the escrow account. What did we determine as far as that line of credit request for dissolution by the bank for the Tanya Lane?
We hold that letter of credit, and
Even though they
we
claim
own, possession is 9/10 of the law, and we are not giving it up willingly.
even though they think the timeline is passed? and
It
that-
doesn't matter if the timeline is passed. Mr. Greenwood, would you agree with that
Yeah,
statement?
we're holding.
Oh, we're good,
So
okay.
we're-
Yes.
Okay, no. that's-
When
And
we
we've
are
told
in
them that
possession
before.
of that letter,
We've told the bank.
I was
that
just as
before.
surprised. I know we sent them a letter to the bank a number of months, probably 8 months ago, and now they're asking the same, making the same request.
and Glenn had called the bank, and when that first question came up, 8
Oh,
months,
yeah.
9 months, whatever it came up, and told that we're not releasing it. So if you would like Mr. Greenwood to call that bank again and have
Well,
that
no, I know
conversation.
you guys are handling that, obviously.
Mhm.
Is there a status update on the work to be completed on Tanya Lane?
Well,
We haven't heard anything from Tanya Lane since we sent the letter out to them
Been a
saying what
while,
we anticipate.
hasn't it?
It's been about a month.
I mean, it's fine, as long as they, I'm
I
sure
did
they-
receive those as-built and that packet.
Right.
I did show you that, okay.
Yep.
I panicked for a minute, like I didn't show you that.
Right, the as-bills are good. But there's no way that the town is going to assume responsibility for that road.
You are the authority, Mr.
Well,
Stevens.
I mean, that's the way that it works.
We will hold,
That's
at
what
some
we're-
point, we will be holding a public hearing.
So they can take as
Yeah.
much time
Oh,
as
yeah.
they want, but
Hopefully
we
they take all winter.
we have the record to say, we don't intend on doing anything until they tell us how they're gonna resolve this. So,
Good idea.
All right.
Yeah, and I can't pay that bill to Chris Raymond unless I get that money from Tanya Lane.
I'm holding on to that bill. I have not submitted it for payment.
But you're
Until,
not sure that there isn't some money left in the escrow.
I am 99% sure. I need my finance department to tell me that.
Stop looking at Steph, it's not Steph.
Sorry, I'm not looking.
Steph, could you get Ambrose on the phone?
No, no, do not get it. Don't even go home and say anything.
Sleep putting the kids to bed.
Have you seen a budget
You don't have
update,
hearing Friday.
current update?
Of our budget?
Yes. Do you get? the
What do you
re-
mean?
Like a report on what we've spent?
Oh, I thought that was passed on to you. I had that,
It
I
was
can get
not.
one printed out if you would like.
Yes, I would, or emailed. I passed my email to somebody when I was at the select board meeting, but I didn't get it.
Oh, I can request that from the proper
Okay.
channels.
Thank you.
I will also get back to you on when we are scheduled to go in front of the budget committee.
Okay.
I will reach out to Jim, because I know they talked about that at a budget meeting of setting those dates, so we still have to go there.
Okay. If anybody has, hey, psst, guys, we do have money left in the training budget. I'm planning on going to a Conservation Commission conference with our Conservation Commission chair. It's only like $60.
Who's that?
Becky Dunham.
I think she stepped down, but
Oh,
yeah.
But nobody stepped up, so she played the ball.
I did not know that.
Yeah, she told me
That's in
a few
November.
weeks ago that she was
Northern New
down in a week.
England Association, NIA Kappa, whatever that
The
stands for.
planners?
Planners Association.
Do you go to that?
Nope.
No
We should
interest?
send him,
Do you think, well,
or Mark.
I asked Mark if he wanted to go. Do you think it would be a good,
Sure, Mark, you should go
Um,
to that.
I might be going,
Good for you.
TBD.
Good for you.
We could hang out.
You and Mark should.
I would go if it wasn't during the week. What if you can carpool with Steph?
No.
All right, anyways, we'll,
It's in,
Move
it's in
on.
Portland, Mr. Greenwood.
What's
It
that?
seems like it's more geared toward the
it's the whole,
the northeast,
There are a
like
lot
the
of-
northern
Yeah.
northeast.
A lot of workshops on housing
yeah, and from
that I probably won't be attending.
not too far away. It's similar. I mean, there's,
Well, one of the issues with me is I'm driving to Jackman, Maine, almost every weekend for the month of October. So I've had enough Maine for
I
October.
don't know where that is, but it's, okay.
I'll make a motion, we order Mark.
You can do that.
Not gonna entertain that motion. Okay, we have some things to sign. Anything else before we adjourn?
Yes. I made a mistake, and I want to report this to the board. It was about ADUs and the regulation that the state mandated us on the ADUs. I was under the impression that the statute was that we could have 2 ADUs on the property. And I did approach Mr. Greenwood and Mark the other day and found that I was incorrect, and I had made a bet with a board member in reference to that
And I
statute.
think it was a fairly large, like a $25 donut.
Yes, but I did tell this member that I do not like donuts and that I would not do that, but because he was correct, I do have a gift certificate that I'd like him to open to reflect as to my payment paid in full.
Yes,
This will have to go to the Historical Society.
I want to know where that gift certificate is to.
So, maybe, yeah. Know your ordinances, know your
Yes.
legislation.
I know.
You'll get a kick out of this, Doug.
Oh, I love it.
Let me see.
As a Trumper, I get a gift certificate to Chris Pappas's restaurant.
That's my guy.
That is phenomenal.
They have really good tenders.
All right,
done.
can we have
They
a
are
motion
good.
to adjourn.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any final discussion before we adjourn?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's
Please
good.
turn off your mic.
I think you should hang that up. Oh, yeah. I heard that. I've never been there. They scream like-
Who was the first and second to adjourn?
Priceless stuff.
I think it's Doug.